So we'll just have our program here because not only we have a lot of good people here, but we have a lot of good people watching us all across Michigan. And so I welcome. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Dr. John Telford. I am the former superintendent of the Detroit Public Schools under Emergency Financial Management, 2012-2013. I have had Shri on my 1340 AM show. I'm going to have him on there again, Saturday mornings at 9:30, Monday evenings at 6:30. We're going to keep running them and running them and running them until we get him elected, because Shri is the candidate that we need to govern this state. He has my entire endorsement. He has the endorsement of all of my school constituency, and we've got to get the vote out in Detroit, because Detroit, our city, and I've been a Detroiter for 82 years, our city is the city that needs him the most, and it's the city that if we get the vote out, if everyone who's eligible to vote votes, Shri Thanedar is the next governor of the state of Michigan, and we've got to make that happen. And here's the mic.
All right. Thank you all. I think we would like Reverend Horace Sheffield to say a few words.
Who?
I'm
according to Shri's wife, I've got power. And I heard Dr. Telford, who I respect, mention the other candidate. One of the fundamental rules in campaign, you never mention your opposition's name.
Right.
But I was approached very early on, and then I began to have all kinds of concerns. We've got to rebuild the base of the Michigan Democratic Party. I have a photo that's part of my dad's archives in 1963 at a reception that Phil Hart had for the delegation that was at the March on Washington with Dr. King. My dad was one of the organizers of that march. And that's the party that I remember, Zoltan Ferenczi and Phil Hart. It was a party that was led from the bottom up. Conventions were not based on silos of institutional support that had pockets of delegates who came in and forced and coerced candidates on the base of the party, but the base of the party told the top of the party what the base wanted and the top did it. We've lost all of that.
Yes, sir.
And for the first time, as I told Shri, I feel like one of the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited. Because we have an opportunity to send a message to the Democratic infrastructure in this state, to all of those who've decided who ought to be our gubernatorial candidate, that the people are going to make this choice. We're going to make this decision. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be done. I was blessed in my life with a lot of people. One of the people who had a great impact on me was a guy by the name of Michael Harrington. And Michael Harrington had the progressive Democratic agenda of the Democratic Party, but he wrote a book back in 1964 called The Other America. It's a really informative piece, and he talks about the part of this country that people do not want to represent, do not want to address, but is the most important part of our country that needs to be brought into the mainstream of the American dream. I think Shri is the person to address all of the agonies, all of the aspirations, and bring about some real meaningful change for those of us who struggle every day for a crust of bread and a corner to sleep in. So I know he says, we Shri, but me Shri. By the way, I'm pleased to say that I'm on his campaign staff, and we're going to shake it up. Right? That's right? Let me tell you real quick, so this is how we're going to do it, Shri. There was a young man who had promised his mother he'd do better in school, and she said she'd get him a bike for Christmas if he did.
Yes.
And so he got kicked out of school, and he came home that day. His mother said, that bike is off. And the mother was religious, so the son appealed to her and said, Mom, you think if I pray that I can still get a bike for Christmas? She said, well, I don't know. You better go talk to Jesus. So he got inspired. Dr. Telford went upstairs and started praying about it. The next day on his way to school, he stopped off on Michigan Avenue, ran to a Catholic church, snatched a statue of the Virgin Mary, ran home, sat on his desk, got his pad and pen, and said, Dear Jesus, I got your mama. I want my bike.
I'm from Pastor William from Word Explosion Outreach. When I first saw Shri, I was inspired. And I see that he had a compassion for the people. And that was my word. And when I went out in the street, that it was everybody, all different colors. They say, I will vote for him. He's he got a good personality. He's kind. You know, I just thank God for Shri, because some people need to be in an office who love people. Yes. Who love people and could identify them. Why I say identify? He's been poor. I read his book. So he identified the people who's poor. I went out in the street on the west side. It's around Plymouth. Some people say, I'm going to vote for him because he identified I was poor and he was poor. And I endorse Shri because I see the unity in you. You know, you try to bring the people together.
Thank you.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming.
I'm on. All right. David Bullock is my name. Greater St. Matthew Baptist Church in Highland Park and Bethany Baptist Church in Detroit. Change Agent Consortium, which is a statewide coalition of progressive folks that are trying to move our state forward. And I'm here today because I'm excited to announce my endorsement of Shri Thanedar for governor. I must say that Michigan is on the precipice of greatness, but it will only reach its full potential if the right person is in Lansing. We cannot continue to support the same old thing. I heard a wise person say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We've tried the status quo. We've tried the establishment. We've carried the water for people who promised us they were going to make Highland Park and Benton Harbor and Flint and Saginaw and rural Michigan better. And we have been disappointed time and time again. Yes. But we have not left. We've stayed. Yes, and now we are happy that a man decided that he didn't need a check. Yes. He already has checks. He didn't need responsibility. He's already been very responsible. Yes. All right. He's educated. He's articulate. Yes. He has dominated in his field. Yes, Lord. He's sometimes controversial, but successful people are always controversial because people who push the envelope sometimes are ahead of the crowd. Right. So I'm excited to say that we have waited long enough, and now the time is here for us to push this candidate, Shri Thanedar, this campaign into a movement for change in Michigan. Let me close by saying this. There is no division between people of color in the state of Michigan. We must all come together. Black and brown, red and yellow, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. We cannot scapegoat immigrants. We cannot support people that want to build walls. But we must support candidates that want to build bridges. I invite you to get on board. I invite you to join now. I invite you to get involved. And I invite you to join the only candidate that's running as a Democrat that deserves and will win the race for governor. When I say 1, 2, 3, you say get down with Shri. 1, 2, 3.
Get down with Shri.
1, 2, 3.
Get down with Shri.
Let me hear you make some noise.
Yeah.
Bishop Stargill.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am extremely happy to be here today to be a part of this movement. We thank God for you. I'm out of the Western Wayne area, Dearborn, Inkster, Romulus, Canton. I represent out there. And we need your help. We need your leadership. We need your support. We need you in the governor's seat for us, the people of Western Wayne and the whole state of Michigan. We need a man that's going to do what he says he's going to do. Not take away everything that has been built, not take away all the pensions, take away all the rights, take away all the gains, but we need a man that's going to stand up for the people. I'm tired of being sick and tired. So it's time to go to work. I'm here today. I rode the bus down here today to be here with you today.
Thank you.
So again, welcome, and God bless you as you go forth as the next governor of the state of Michigan.
Thank you all. Thank you all coming here.
One more pastor. All right.
Hey, I was going to sit and enjoy the festivities. I'm Reverend London from New Jerusalem, London Jr. My dad is Bishop. We got a chance to meet with Shri, and we believe his principles. We understand his principles. And this is one of the most important elections in our lives right now in the city of Detroit. We are pushing to make sure our millennials and everyone that has not voted because they've been disappointed in the way our government, our Democrat has been, we want to make sure that this time that we get the right people in the right places that will represent the people. I don't need no Mike Griffin.
All right.
So we're on a mission right now to make sure the people's voices are heard.
Yes.
The most embarrassing story right now in the United States of America is what has happened to Flint.
Yes, Lord. Come on.
The state of Michigan owes Flint an apology
Yes.
for the way they treated those people and are treating them right this minute.
Yes, Lord.
It's impossible for us to sit back on our seats and not get up from 18 on, young and old, to get our voices heard and believe there's a candidate that will speak for us. So we're looking forward to a new governor, a new government that will let and make sure our people's voices are heard. It must happen. We got to make it happen, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure everybody gets involved in this election year.
All right, listen, can we do this real quick? I'm not the front man, I'm not the hype man, but we've got to have enthusiasm if we're going to win this campaign. We've got, they had an earthquake here the other day and people didn't feel it. We don't want to have a candidate that people don't know it. So I bring you the next governor of the state of Michigan, Shri Thanedar.
Good afternoon. How is everybody?
Great. Amen.
I am Shri Thanedar, and I am running to be the next governor of our great state of Michigan. We're going to fix our state. We're going to take our state back from all of the big corporation welfare. We are going to make this state work for the people of Michigan. I am going to have your backs when I am going to Lansing, and I'm going to end the pay for play culture. And I'm going to stop this corruption that goes on with the corporate money and our politicians who are in the pockets of the corporations and in the pockets of the billion-dollar people. We need to make this economy work for all of us, not just the rich and the ultra-rich and the big corporations. We want to make a fair tax fairness. That means the rich and the corporations pay their fair share. And when they tear up our roads with their big trucks, they're going to pay to fix our roads. And we're going to take sure that we work on education. I grew up in poverty. I worked as a janitor. And I tell you, when I worked as a janitor, I did not get paid enough. And I did not get the benefits that I needed. And I believe if you work 40 hours a week, you should be paid fair wages, where you can take care of your family's education needs and health care needs and be able to put food on the table. And when you retire, you need to be able to retire in dignity. And the state must not mess with your retirement income.
Go Shri!
We are going to fix the education. Education and health care are not privileges. Education and health care are our fundamental rights. And I work tirelessly to bring single-payer health care to Michigan. I'll work tirelessly to make education affordable, and I'll make sure that the public schools and public community colleges become tuition-free, so we can invest in our children early. We will have a universal pre-K. We will protect the rights of the workers. We will repeal right to work. We'll protect prevailing wage, and we'll raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and tie it to inflation so our families don't fall behind. We want to make this government work for the people. I am not a career politician. I am a scientist. I'm a chemist. And I understand the terrible thing the state of Michigan did to the people of Flint. And we must take care of the people of Flint. We must pay for their health care, and we must watch their health, because as a scientist, I understand the effect of toxic lead. And we may not know this for another 10 years, all the effects of this lead poisoning on people's health, on people's mental health, and the state owes it to them to take care of them at no cost to them. Another issue close to my heart is mental health. You know, Governor Engler's time and thereon, the Republicans have cut cost for mental health, closed mental health hospitals. Now, I know I lost a family member to mental health, so I'm very sensitive to that. And I raised my 2 boys as a single father and dealt with their sorrow and dealt with mine until I got remarried several years later to a wonderful woman. You know, I have 2 heroes, 2 main heroes I want to talk about. And she is one of my heroes, because when my family was hurting, when my 2 little boys, 4 years and 8-year-old, when they were hurting and we needed help, she came into our life, made our family and home again, and put us all together and gave us the love. And look at what a strong woman can do to a family. And that's where my respect for women comes, is that these are the 2 women are my heroes. My other hero is my mother. When my father lost his pension and the family fell into dire poverty, 4 girls, 2 boys, my mom and dad. And there was time, I'm the only gubernatorial candidate who knows what it feels like going to bed hungry. There was a time when the whole family had not eaten for 24 hours. And my mother was very resourceful. She's a very strong woman. I learned a lot from my mama. And one night, she just boiled a pot of water, threw in some salt in there, threw in 2 fistfuls of rice powder. And she made a paste, and that's the only meal my family and I had in the last 24 hours. And this I learned from my mother. I learned from my mother how to never give up, no matter how hard things get. I learned from this strong woman how never to give up your rights, how to stand strong for your rights. I learned from this woman, you know, how to believe in yourself and keep fighting until you achieve your dreams and your goals. And more importantly, perhaps, I learned from this strong woman, my mother, how to be fearless. And I will not only be a good leader, I would bring compassion, I would bring love and compassion to Lansing, where we haven't seen compassion in the last 7 years. And I will bring the skills my mother taught me. And I will fight for all of you. I will fight with the Republican Senate if I have to. And I'll be fearless in fighting for people and making Michigan progressive and inclusive for all of you. So thank you all. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for your support. And we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this happen, and we're going to change people's lives for better. And that's the only reason I am going to Lansing to work for you. Thank you so much. Thank you.